23 years old, I had some big decisions to make. I'm gonna share a little bit about how I took a leap of faith and left everything I know here in my small town, Newnan, Georgia, and moved to the great state of Florida and Tampa, and ultimately how I did that and how I started a business with zero business experience. By the way, guys, my name is Daniel Ray. Welcome to Faith and Fit. I'm a Christian, but today I'm talking about the fit. In the faith and fit part, you could say it's my story. Part two, I'm going to share a little bit of how I moved from Georgia to Florida, and also how I started my very first business here in Tampa, Florida. So just to set the stage a little bit, I had recently gotten certified as a personal trainer, literally passed by the skin of my teeth. You had to get a 69 to pass, and that's exactly what I got, was a 69. But it was a good day, and I started working at the One Life Fitness here, and it was Atlanta Fitness then. But I was doing that part-time, working full-time at this Buffalo Rock. It's a Pepsi distribution company. I was delivering products to convenience stores, and I did that for about 4 years. That was my full-time job. And then once I became a personal trainer, I was able to start working at the gym part-time, and eventually that transitioned into me being able to quit Buffalo Rock and work at the gym full-time. So I was a full-time personal trainer. I had my one-on-one clients, and I also had the group. We did these small group personal training classes. Me and Robin, we did those together. She's my girlfriend, also kind of like a mentor of that time. But you know, things were going good. Things were going good for my life. You know, me and Robin had a pretty good relationship. We enjoyed doing the classes together. You know, she taught me a lot during that time. And initially, when we first met, she had talked about moving to Florida. Like, that was the plan all along. She was born and raised there. She told me she's gonna, you know, move back there. That's where she wants her kids to be. That's where their father is. And at the time, it really wasn't a big deal. You know, we weren't that serious, and, you know, I didn't know where, you know, this was headed as far as me and her. But over time, as the months went by, and, you know, our house is for sale. She's basically just waiting for the house to actually sell, to start looking for a place there, and then she'll move. And ultimately, it was right around time things started to get pretty good for me. You know, I had just quit I was finally doing what I liked. I was finally following my passion. I had this full-time job at the gym. I mean, that was my dream. When I worked at Buffalo Rock, I would just fantasize about just being able to go to the gym all day and, you know, help people with their workouts and their nutrition plans. And it's a great gym to be at. You can make a full-time living there, you know, not like, you know, a lot of other smaller gyms. But yeah, so things were actually finally starting to go good for me. I'm 23 years old. 18 to 23 kind of sucked. Now things are finally starting to come together. And then that's when Robin's house sold, and her moving back to Florida became like a real thing. And so the conversation got serious real quick. Like, are you gonna move there with me or not? Now, keep in mind, me and her have been dating for like 8 months, and, you know, my thought process is like, do I leave this life, this path that I'm on right when things are starting to get good? I've got a good gym. You know, my friends are here, my family's here. This is what I know. I had never lived anywhere else. Am I really gonna move all the way to a different state for a woman that I've really only known for like 8 months? I mean, my family's here, safety, security is here. You know, it really took a big leap of faith to move somewhere where, you know, I didn't know anyone. I didn't have a way to get a job quickly. And yeah, so it was a big risk, but, you know, it wasn't easy making that decision. So I had talked to my parents, my pastor, my friends, prayed about it every night, just asking, like, God, please, you know, give me the answer. Just come down and show me what exactly it is that I'm supposed to do. And it wasn't an easy decision. Ultimately, what pushed me over the edge as far as making the move was I actually went down there to visit, which, you know, duh, hindsight's 2020. Of course, you're going to go and visit the place that you're, you know, thinking about living. But I went down there to visit for a couple of days. And to be honest, at the time, I really wasn't that impressed, but it was different. I wanted something different. I didn't really have a lot tying me here. And I'm so glad that I made the decision to go ahead and move there and expand my horizons. I mean, you know, I've read somewhere that if you stay in your hometown, that it's always a good idea for the person that's born in their hometown to get out and, you know, go live somewhere else. It forces you to be independent. It forces you to make new friends. It really opens your mind, and it's a really good thing. And I'm so thankful for those experiences that I was able to have that, you know, I wouldn't have had if I didn't move. So I ultimately dropped everything here, moved to a completely different state for a woman. Sounds like an old country song. Me and Robin were living together. Robin she left about 6-ish months ago, or months before I left and went and moved with her. And before she left, she told everyone at the gym that she was leaving, that she was going to start a gym, that she was going to go open up her own gym. Now, that wasn't the real reason she was moving, but it made sense to some of her clients that were wondering why she was leaving. It made sense to give them, you know, that answer. She didn't know anything about starting a gym. I didn't know anything about starting a gym either. But over time, we both kind of just started saying it, and just over time, we both kind of started believing it. You know, that you can speak something into existence. I mean, everything starts out as a thought. This isn't some motivational talk. It's just funny how that happened. I mean, the time when we first said it, we didn't believe it at all, but we just started saying it. We started saying it so much, it's like, well, maybe we really are gonna do that. So we're living in Tampa, Florida. We start doing outside boot camp classes, functional fitness type stuff in this very wealthy subdivision called Grand Hampton. Doctors, lawyers, professional football players. We actually trained some of the Tampa Bay Buck players' wives. Keith Tandy, he was linebacker for the Tampa Bay Bucks. I think he got Defensive Player of the Year 2016. Was the Alteron Burner? He's a cornerback. We trained his wife in this community called Grand Hampton, and what we would do is we would pack up our equipment, the dumbbells, kettlebells, Bosu balls, stability balls. We would pack it up into the Jeep, drive there to the subdivision, unload it, put it into the grass, set up whatever the format was going to be for that day, have class, reload everything back up into the Jeep, and then go back to the house, reload it again, and we would do that 3 times a week in the evening at, I believe the class time started at 5 p.m. Now, we were super stoked to do that. I remember when we got our first client who gave us $100 for the month. I mean, I think we framed like $1 out of that $100 because we were so proud of ourselves. I mean, we'd never done anything like that, and it was super cool. I think we had like 10, 15-ish clients, something like that. It was growing. I mean, it was cool. We just had this idea. We had this class, and we didn't even have a place, like a brick and mortar place. We just had this area that we said, hey, we're going to do this class, and people thought it was cool enough to give us money. Now, there were some problems with doing the workouts outside. For one, you're outside, it's hot. It's muggy. You're in Florida, so it rains like every day, and you're really subject to the elements and whatever's going on. If it's raining, obviously you can't train outside, so we were limited in that capacity. You're in Florida, so you got to worry about hurricane season, which was right around the corner. I mean, in a couple of months, one of the clients even asked us about that, like, what are you going to do when hurricane season gets here? We didn't have an answer. We just kept going. We just kept going. I can't even tell you that we, thought something was going to happen. But I'll tell you, one day we had this client. His name was Mehmet. Mehmet was a wealthy business owner, had lots of money, doing really well for himself. And I remember it started raining, and we were outside originally. We started running inside into the clubhouse. And I said, I'm sorry guys, we're working on getting our own studio. Just try to bear with us. Keep in mind, we weren't really looking for a studio. We didn't think it was possible. We didn't have any money. And Mehmet heard me say that. He texted me later that day and he said, hey, how's the search for the studio? How's the search for the studio going? What can I do to help? And I tell Robin, I'm like, yeah, Mehmet just texted me and he was asking about the studio. And it became a little bit more real at that point. Mehmet asked us, hey, do you have a business plan? No, we didn't have a business plan. But we're like, yeah, sure. Actually, yeah, we do. So we start putting some numbers in a spreadsheet, very unrealistic numbers looking back. But, we start talking more and more to Mehmet, and, he loved us and he wanted to support us, and he eventually would offer $50,000 to us as an investment to get started. And of course, we had no idea. We were so naive. Looking back, it was such a bad idea to take that money. But of course, we're like, yes, absolutely, of course. This is exactly what we need. Everything's possible. We could do anything with that. And, I remember she had her stepdad, Dave, telling her that that's a bad idea. Don't do it. But of course, we didn't listen to him. And, we're kind of wheeling and dealing with Mehmet about this $50,000. And we, we're kind of negotiating, say, yeah, we'll pay you back this amount by this time, and we'll give you 3% of the profits after this date, and all very unrealistic. But that's made everything serious. We really started looking for a studio. We eventually found the perfect place, and we start talking to the landlord, Brad. And Brad eventually asked to see our finances. So me and Robin send him over our bank statements. And I remember he emailed back. He was like, "Is this all you got?" And we were like, "Yeah, it is. I told you we're a startup." But we have this investor over here, Mehmet. Look at his bank statement, and he does. And he's like, "Okay." He seemed to be content with that. And he was like, "Well, I guess you guys can you can sign the lease, but Mehmet is going to have to co-sign." And that was a big stumbling block for Mehmet. That's when he started to get very hesitant. And we could definitely tell that things were off over the course of I guess the next few weeks. And me and Robin are trying to talk him into it. We're like, we'll give you 4% of the profits. We'll give you 5% of the profits. We'll give you 6% of the profits. Now, keep in mind, we're so naive when it comes to business. We had no idea what we were actually trying to offer. We had no idea what we were even saying. I mean, looking back, it was such it would have been such a disaster if he would have said yes, and everything would have went down that way. But thankfully, he was like, no, and eventually he actually did say that he would go ahead and he would co-sign for us and give us the $50,000 investment. He had his lawyer even draft him up a contract, and he'd send it over to our lawyer, who was not really our lawyer, but kind of acting like our lawyer. We're really just bartering for services because we couldn't afford his services. He actually just lived in the Grand Hampton community. His name was Dominique, but great guy. He helped us out, and so he was just kind of acting as our lawyer. Sent it over to him, and everything was go. I think we had like 2 days left before we actually sit down and put pen to paper and sign the lease. And I remember me and Robin woke up to an email from Dominique, and looked down. Dominique, it just said, it was just real simple, Mehmet's backing out. So we're like, oh man, it felt like our dream was so close. Like, it started out as impossible, turned to impossible, and looked like it was possibly going to happen. I mean, everything was just right there, but so close, but so far away too. And we're like, why? And we reached out to Mehmet, and he's just like, he's got a bad feeling. Something's telling him not to. He just not. He really didn't give us an elaborate answer, and he didn't have to, but he did get our hopes up. And ultimately he was the reason, not directly but indirectly, we would end up getting into our place. And so we had to turn around and tell Brad, the landlord, that look, Mehmet, he's backing out. He's not willing to co-sign. And we thought that would pretty much be the end of it. But Brad responds with, well, if you guys are still willing to go ahead and go through with it, then we can arrange that. And that just goes to show things are a lot more negotiable than you think. I've heard someone say everything is negotiable. You should try it out. Ask for a free coffee or something. But Brad, he says, if you guys are still wanting to go ahead and go through with it, then you can. And so obviously our hopes are back up, and we're like, yes, we do. But we just had one problem. You needed $5,000 for the first month's rent. You needed another $5,000 for the security deposit. So $10,000 total, which we had about $100 total in our bank. Okay, so now what do we do? So we tell Brad, you know, we're gonna think about it, just trying to buy a little bit of time. We don't want to tell him that we can't do it because we don't have any money. But a couple of days go by, nothing really happens. Of course not, because we really weren't doing anything to make the money happen. But, you know, it was just one random conversation with Robin and her dad, and just in passing, he says, well, if all you guys need is $10,000, I can give that to you. So Robin comes home, she tells me, I'm like, yeah, of course. And so we had actually drawn up a business plan for Mehmet. We had showed him some numbers, like what we're thinking that we're gonna earn, what we're projecting to earn by this date, and by 12 months we'll have this many clients. And, you know, so we take that over, we're gonna show that same document to her dad, and we're trying to show him, and he just doesn't care at all. He's like, yeah, sure. Here's the check. He just wanted to help his daughter, and I love that, by the way. I think that's super cool. Yeah, so he didn't care at all. We were trying to tell him, yeah, we'll pay you back. We'll give you, this amount of profits, and just didn't care, man. It was super nonchalant. So we got our 10 grand, we take it to Brad, we sit down. It's finally about to happen, about to sign on the dotted line. I think we signed like 100 papers that day in front of like 10 different people. You know, Brad's there. He's got 2 lawyers right here, somebody right here to verify the signatures and to confirm that, you know, everything's happening. It was very overwhelming and just very exciting. And I just remember thinking that I can't believe this is my life, you know, like things can change so quickly, and it just, you know, it just felt like I was in a movie, you know. But anyway, so we sat down, we signed the lease, we got the building now for our gym, which if I know then what I know now, I'm not sure I would have signed the lease. I mean, running a business is so hard. Golly, man, it was hard. We were so naive. We had no idea what we were doing. We were signing the lease. We had no idea how to run a business. This idea of build it and they will come is false. That's so far from the truth. I mean, we eventually would get evicted from the house that we were renting. I mean, we came home, there's a 72-hour notice letting us know that we got to get everything out or they're going to come and take it out. We eventually lived out of that gym, slept on the floor, had to be up before 5 a.m. before the 5:30 a.m. workout. Things got hard. We would eventually almost get evicted from the gym. We came within like 2 weeks of being evicted from the gym. But I mean, that's a story for another, maybe that'd be the next story. But yeah, things were super hard. I mean, we were ultimately able to do it, but man, that was a tough situation. We thought that was the end of the process. It was only the beginning. A couple of lessons I learned from, going through just that little season of life is, number one, when you don't know where to start, just start. If we had never started doing those outside boot camp classes, we never would have met Mehmet. And while he didn't contribute directly to us getting into the place, he did contribute indirectly, because had he never said that to me about getting the studio, we would have never started seriously looking for the studio. And if we never started looking seriously for the studio, we never would have found it, and we never would have gotten that loan from her dad. Just get started and you'll be amazed at how somehow the picture just starts to come together, it seems. Jim Rohn has this idea about walking down a dark, say you're walking down a dark, foggy road and you can only see 10 feet ahead of you. What do? Well, you walk those 10 feet and then what? Well, then you can see another 10 feet. You walk that 10 feet and then you can see another 10 feet. So just get started, and it's amazing how the picture just starts to become crystal clear. And also people are a lot more willing to help those who help themselves. If you're driving down the road and you see a car broke down and you see the person just sitting there, All right, now you drive past another car, it's broke down, but the person is behind it and pushing. Which two of those scenarios are you more likely to get out and help? Probably the second one, because people help those who help themselves. And if you're already taking action, it makes it a lot more easier for someone to come in and also help you take action. Lesson number 2, thank goodness for unanswered prayers. It would have been a total nightmare had things gone the way that we wanted them to go and Mehmet had given us that $50,000 and co-signed for the lease. It would have been a total nightmare. Like I said, we had no idea what we were talking about. We were just throwing out 4%, 5%, 6%. I mean, I don't even think we were making a profit within 12 months, and let alone paying Mehmet back his 50 grand, as well as the whatever profits we might have been making. It would have been bad. It would have ruined that relationship between us. We actually, stayed pretty good friends after the fact with him and his wife Epsa and his kids, but it would have ruined that relationship. And he's a business guy. He's not going to care about what we're going through, about our problems. We made these promises, and we said we're going to do this by this date, and if that doesn't happen, I don't have any doubts he probably would have tried to sue us, and it would have turned everything everything was already hard, and it just would have made things that much harder. Thank goodness for unanswered prayers. Jeez. So yeah, that's the story, lessons I learned. It's the story about my life, part 2. Hope you guys enjoyed it, got to know a little bit more about me. If you have any questions, comment down below. If you like the video, give it a like, and I'll see you guys next week.